Hello, my dear friends. This has been such an incredibly difficult week. As Jews, we are tremendously united. The Achdus is amazing, especially now. There's such unbelievable Achdus. And as a result, we feel the suffering of Amcha Yisrael, of the Jewish people. We feel the pain of the state of Israel, the Jews in the state of Israel. We feel the pain of the people that are sitting Shiva, the pain of people and the uncertainty and the fear and the anxiety of people that don't know where their loved ones are and what's happening to them, and if they are alive or they're not alive, and if they are alive, how are they being treated. We feel that pain. I heard an amazing thing from Rabbi Yosef Tzvi Rimon. He spoke for the OU. They have a daily chizuk, and he described how he went to the Gaza the day before. I think he spoke on Tuesday. He said on Monday he went to Gaza to deliver packages to the soldiers. Basic supplies. They left they were called up in the morning of Shmini Atzeres, and they had to go to Gaza. Then they didn't have proper clothing, so they put together packages for them. So he said, why did I have to deliver it myself? He could have given the package. He has a lot of people working for him. He's a powerhouse. He has a lot of organizations. So he said because he wanted to speak to the soldiers. And he says, and then after he spoke to them and he tried to give them chizuk, so he handed a package to each soldier and he gave them a hug. He embraced them and he gave them a hug. And he says, everybody there wanted a hug, whether they were Dati or Chiloni, whether they were observant or not. Everybody wanted a hug. And I thought that was so powerful, because a hug is more than verbally. When you say, I feel so bad for you and I know your pain. When you hug somebody, it shows that you care, how much you care, and it also it gives the person support, because it's a way of saying, I'm there for you, I have your back. So, but I was thinking afterwards, after I heard this from Rabbi Rimon, well, that's fine for the soldiers, but I also need a hug. We all need hugs. At times like this, we're all walking around in tremendous pain. We all need hugs. How do we have hugs? So the answer is, there's a pasuk that we read on Shmini Atzeres, while the tragedy was unfolding. We read Shir Hashirim. Shir Hashirim talks about a hug that we all have. Which hug? In Shir Hashirim, in the second parak, it says, you mean small tachas roshi, the left hand, your left hand is under my head. The yamino techapkeni, with his right hand, he embraces me. We're all being embraced. There's a chibuk. Chibuk means to be hugged. We're all being hugged by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you'll say, well, what good does that do? I don't feel I'm being hugged. I don't feel anything. Well, the answer is, it's up to us to feel the Yemina Techapcheni. God is our loving Father. Zavinu Malkeinu. And God, when we're in pain, He's in pain. And Yirmiyahu said, "B'mistarm tifka nafshi." God said that when there was a churban, I cried too, but I cried in private. You don't see God crying; He doesn't come out in the middle of the street and cry. God's crying in private, but God's crying. So when we're in pain, He's in pain, and He's feeling the pain of His children. And just like it's like a father or a mother that their child is going to have an operation, and they're afraid and they're scared, and their anxiety. And the father and the mother embrace the child. They say, don't worry, we're here. We're going to be with you. We're not leaving you. So that's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu embraces us as well. But you have to be able to feel it. David HaMelech said, Gam ki elch b'geitz almaves, even when I go in the valley of death, lo ira ra ki ata imadi, I won't be frightened because you are with me. And there are people this past week, they went B'geit Salmavis, they went in the valley of death, and God was there with them. So David HaMelech was able to say, I won't fear because God is with me. But we're not on that madrega. But when we feel frightened and we feel scared, we have to, in our minds, we have to think about the fact that God is there with us. That's why when you go to the house of the Yovel, you want to console the mourner. What do we say? We say, God will console you. because God. Why God? Because He's our Father. He's the one that cares more about us than anybody else in the world. And a father cries when the child is in pain. The father is in pain. The Gemara says that God cries when we cry. Kaloni Baroshi. So the Ribbon Shem, if we have to develop that sense of feeling when we're going through difficult times. We have to feel the warm embrace of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a sefer called Pri Eitz Chaim that Rav Chaim Vital wrote. He was a Talmud of the Arizal, and he quotes the Arizal. The Arizal was a great Kabbalist from Tzfas. He lived in the 16th century. The Arizal says, "Small to Tachas Rosh." That pasuk in Shir Shim. My left hand is under my head, and my right hand embraces. He says, "My left hand is under my head." Means that's left represents Midas Hadin, judgment. Right represents kindness. The small Tachas Roshi, that's from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, because that's a period of judgment. But from after Yom Kippur until Shmini Atzeres, that's when it's Yemini Techapkeni. So he says that when we're in the sukkah is the design of the sukkah reflects the embrace of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Listen to this, as it's such a powerful thought. When you embrace somebody, so you use three parts of your hand. I don't know if it's your hand or your arm. From the shoulder to the elbow is one part. From your elbow to the wrist is the second part. And then there's the palm and the fingers. So he says when you embrace somebody, you put your arm out, so this part is extended, and then you begin to wrap from the elbow to the wrist around the side of the person, and then, but when you get to the back, you use your hand to embrace the person on their back. So he says a sukkah is three walls. There's two full walls, and the third wall is the size of a tefach. Tefach is a fist. So he says those three walls represent the three parts of a human arm, and those three walls embrace the person when the person's sitting in the sukkah. They embrace him. It's in front, and then on the side, and then behind him. So, unfortunately, when we were sitting in the sukkah this year, we didn't realize how much we needed the embrace of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But if today would be sukkahs, it wouldn't be difficult to conjure in our minds of the sense of mimini techapcheni, that God with His right hand is embracing me, and gam ki eich v'gei tzalmavas. It wouldn't be hard to feel that, but now it's much more difficult. But I want to share one more thought that will make it a little bit easier. Why is it that if the Arizal says that the Yemini Techapkeni is from the beginning from after Yom Kippur until Shmini Atzeres, so, and he says that's the sukkah. The sukkah is the embrace. So where's the sukkah? There's no sukkah on Shmini Atzeres. So where's the embrace? So I was thinking, because why do we leave the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres? That's the pinnacle of the yontif is Shmini Atzeres. That's where God says, "Kashalai pridasim." I don't want to be without you. Don't leave me. Let's make a private suda. So of all times, the sukkah represents the Ananei Kavod, the heavenly clouds, the divine presence. Wouldn't it make more sense to have that suda of Shmini Atzeres in the sukkah? Why do we leave the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres? So, but the answer is, you can't live your whole life in a sukkah. The purpose of being in the sukkah is you leave your house behind because you've already set patterns of behavior in your house. You don't feel God's presence the whole year. You walk in and you feel that you're by yourself. So go into the sukkah, and in the sukkah you feel enveloped. It's a new house, a new start. It's right after Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. You feel the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But after you've experienced that for a week, then you can go back into your house, and you don't leave behind the Ananei Kavod. The words Atzeres means Shmini Atzeres. Atzeres means to be absorbed. What we learned over Sukkot is absorbed within ourselves. So now we take it with us. We take the Ananei HaKavod and we walk back into the house with the Ananei HaKavod on Shmini Atzeres. So I would say that on Shmini Atzeres, the embrace is the wall. The four walls of the house are the embrace on Shmini Atzeres. On Sukkot, it's only two walls and a palm. But on Shmini Atzeres, it's all the walls. And the difference is because on even though the judgment of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur ends with Yom Kippur, that's the small Tachas Roshi. but there's still a lingering judgment, because the Sfarim say that until Hoshana Rabbah, the decree is not delivered. It's signed, but it's not delivered. And it's still a period of some level of judgment. So on Sukkos, when we sit in the sukkah, we could only have a right hand embracing us, because there's still some judgment going on. But when it comes Shmini Atzeres, so then even the left hand is transformed into Midas Harachmim. Even with the left hand, there's compassion. And we're encircled, therefore, by the four walls of the house. So that when you sit in just like when I said before, it's chaval, that when we were sitting in the sukkah, we didn't think about it. We didn't know how much anxiety we would have. We would have sat in the sukkah and we would have lovingly looked at the sukkah and feel, oh, God's with me. He's got me my back. So now, though, let's do that in our homes. Let's sit in the homes and recognize that when we brought this, when we came from the sukkah and we moved back into our houses, we didn't leave behind the Shekhinah. We took it with us, and therefore we will feel God's embrace at all times. This Shmini Atzeres, when in the evening, it was Yemini Techapkeni. There was the embrace of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, but there's two types of embraces, two types of hugs. There's one type of hug which primarily is a sign of affection and love. There's another type of hug which is a sign of, don't worry, I'm here for you. I know what you're going through. I have your back. At night, it was the first type of a hug. It was Yemini Techapkeni, but it was the first type of a hug. We felt that HaKadosh Baruch Hu he loves us. We're special to him. We're the chosen people, and therefore that was the embrace of the night of Sukkah, of Shmini Atzeres. But when we heard the terrible news in the morning of Shmini Atzeres, then it was still that God was still hugging us, but it was a different type of hug. It was a hug to reflect that God says, I have your back. Don't worry. I know it looks terrible. Things are bleak. Things are hard. How are we going to survive? Don't worry. I'm going to be with you. Let's hope that the hug of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he's hugging us, and we have to think about the fact that he's hugging us, and he's in pain, and he's crying with us. Let's hope that we won't have to cry, and that Kadosh Baruch Hu won't be crying with us, and that the hug of the Kadosh Baruch Hu that right now is a hug to provide security, and to take away our fear and trepidation. Let's hope that very soon that hug will be transformed. It'll be a hug of celebration, where we feel close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who He's saved us from our enemies and from all our tzaras, and in that way we will be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the proper fashion, with love and affection, mutual love and affection. God is our Father, and we are His children, and we will love Him in that manner. Let's hope there should only be simchas for Klal Yisrael.